Hello, hello, luminaries on this beautiful San Francisco autumn day. I'm going to wait for Nadia to join me because today we're going to be talking about the planet Uranus and the significance of Uranus in your midlife awakening. So let's see where Nadia is, and thank you for your patience while we hello, Nadia, are you here? There we are. Invite. Welcome, everybody. Hi, Nadia.
I'm here.
How are you today, my friend?
I'm good. I'm loving your sunglasses.
Oh, thank you. I decided to sit in the yard because it was just so beautiful out.
Enjoy, enjoy. I'm waiting actually for the rain to hit Seattle. I never thought I'd say that being a New Yorker, but we need some rain up here.
Yeah, it's interesting to think of Seattle not having rain.
Huge secret that I'm about to blast on Instagram. It literally is sunny from like July through September, like not a cloud in the sky. So yeah.
Perfect weather. So we're representing the left coast here. Nadia is up in Seattle, Washington, and I'm here in San Francisco, California. But we're coming together because we are co-creating a beautiful midlife awakening workshop, a 4-week intensive. And we want to talk today a little bit about some of the planetary players, and the peak planetary player in midlife awakening is Uranus.
So I'm going to be asking you the questions today. So talk to me. What is Uranus all about, and what is the significance in midlife?
Yes. So yesterday we talked about Chiron, and today the other main player is Uranus, and Uranus is one of the um, outer generational planets. It takes about, gosh, how long does Uranus take to go around the sky? I think like 80 something years. Yes, 80 something years, 84 years to go around. And so some of us will have a Uranus where it reaches back to the point where it was during our birth. But during midlife, right around age 44, anywhere between 38 and 44, Uranus will sit across from its natal position. So, the natal position where Uranus was at the time of your birth, Uranus will sit across the sky and creating this opposition, this full illumination in terms of freedom, independence, revolution. And Uranus represents our electrical system, our what's that? Our Kundalini energy, but it also represents that spinal energy. Can you help me remember those words for that?
I can. Well, in terms of the chakras, right? Like
Yes.
Uranus represents the crown chakra, which is
Mhm.
your essentially your spiritual awakening, enlightenment, your connection to your spirit. And I'm assuming you're the astrologer, so I'm going to defer to you, but I'm assuming because it's sitting in opposition, we really have to work through our root chakra stuff, which is our core wounds.
Yes. You're totally right. And so Uranus, because it's like working on the electrical system, I don't know why I cannot find my words. We're still in Mercury retrograde. I usually have better words, but we're going to just move on from that. But during the Uranus opposition, the Kundalini energy is essentially rising, and it's part of the 4 or 5 different transits that are happening all during midlife that are asking your Kundalini energy to rise to the top of that chakra, up to the crown chakra. And so this is really that crowning of your midlife awakening, where both of us have been through our Uranus oppositions, and they were really hardcore, at least for me. Not so
Yeah,
acute
mine
as you.
was mine was shattering.
Yeah, yours was shattering.
Shattering, and also, again, like highly awakening. You don't go through, short story of people who don't know me. My son died when I was 44 unexpectedly, and I'm now almost 51. And it was life shattering. And through that, it was really an awakening to why am I here? What is the purpose of my life? And how can I heal from this wound, turn it into wisdom, and help others navigate through their life?
Yeah.
And Mars is the planet of Uranus.
Yes, where your with your life shattering event and learning how that really awakens you to your truest healing powers that you're able to in service give back to your clients. For me, while mine wasn't as painfully shattering, I blew my business up. And not knowing exactly what I was doing, just knowing that I was completely unsatisfied by the constraints of the business that I had built. And in a flash, in a quantum leap, I had discovered, or it was revealed to me, how astrology works with branding and leadership. And in a flash in the pan, a really quick 180, I was able to flip my business around and am totally 100% fulfilled in my work and what I give back as I was exploring my Uranian themes. And all of these Uranian themes will be different for us depending on the sign of our Uranus, depending on the house placement of Uranus. And so in our Midlife Awakening course, our workshop together at Co-Creation, we're going to be exploring these themes that come into opposition that need resolution, and awakening and change and evolution in your lives. And so I'm super excited to
I'm
to be
super
working
excited.
with Uranus.
Oh my. Well, and also I think it's important to note that we see this all over Instagram and all over social, that like toxic positivity. And if I want to be this spiritual person and my entire life could be a total wreck behind the scenes of what I'm putting out there on
Yeah.
social, right? And so if you are working with your crown chakra and you're working on really having a spiritual awakening, you have to work with your core wounds, because otherwise it's a spiritual bypass, and
Yeah.
we don't want that, because talking about like electrical circuitry, it's going to blow the system
It's
essentially.
gonna blow the
And so
system.
you want a true awakening spiritually, and to really hone in to your own inner guidance and your own, I call it soul GPS, so to speak. We have to heal those core wounds. And so in this 4-week program, we will be doing, the astrology, as well as a powerful group healing process for you to get in touch with the core wound and retrieve the wisdom and the healing to bring you forward, so that you could have a true awakening rather than spiritual bypass, because who wants that? We don't want that.
We don't want that. And what was really interesting was that when we were both going through our Uranus oppositions, and they're usually like a 2 or 3 year um, transit. So we're going through this thing. It's not just like a one hit. Oftentimes there's several hits of this Uranus opposition. Neither of us knew that we were going through this thing when it happened. And but saving grace is that both of us were, tended towards the spiritual. So we were already looking for meaning and not running away from the challenges, but instead diving into the challenges. Now, for my clients that I can see them, witness them, who are going right through this Uranus opposition, and they are so fortunate to have the kind of astrological insight to say, like, okay, well, you know what? You are in the middle of this transit. Here are the questions to be asking yourself and to reflect through. Here's the light at the end of the tunnel, right? Like, I wish I had those tools when I was going through that.
Well, and it's also like, we both had the awareness that we were going, through something. Obviously, I didn't realize that there were planets, in play, and it's the constant interweaving of what you're going through as a human in the experience, with all of the feelings and all the things that come up, and then intertwining it with the spiritual and going, okay, it's multi-layered and multifaceted, and so it's like you might be suffering in the moment, and then it's also going, okay, why is this happening for me? And you might not be able to answer that question right away. I know I certainly was not able to answer that question right away, but it is that almost like that helix of the Kundalini that you're kind of
Yeah.
running up and down, so that you could get the most out of the experience.
Yes. And then that also from healing and clearing the way in all of your chakras and harnessing that Uranus opposition, what it's really doing is energizing you for the next half of your life. And so I always wondered, I witnessed like people aging, and you can kind of see people like diverging into two different ways. Like as they're aging, like they either like take off and continue to do amazing, amazing work, or after midlife they kind of plateau and then sink. And I always wondered like why there was just this huge like fork in the road. And now I know it's the people that haven't bypassed and really harnessed that Uranus opposition. They continue going on to do amazing things because they've energized themselves. And if you're one of those that have passed that Uranus opposition, you're like, oh, maybe I lost the train, like I missed the train, it's not too late. You can still clear your path. While it may not be as potent, you can still raise that Kundalini energy and really harness that for the next half of your life.
Right. And we always are continually growing. And speaking of that fork in the road, there's Ericksonian psychology, which I will not get into, but the last phase is, beyond midlife is, when you're older, are there regrets and remorse about your
Mm.
life? Or are you feeling fulfilled, and is there wisdom? And so each stage of life has these two powerful forces about how you harnessed your experiences, and move through them for your own, personal, emotional, and spiritual growth. So it's really
Ooh.
wonderful to see that the planets are, it's a planetary psychology right here.
Yes, it's, we're working with them whether or not we realize them. And I was just thinking, Nadia, we should add those questions in the journals for those of us that are past that 52-year age. Like, are there any of those regrets? And so, how can we clear the path? Because I love those questions. Those are great questions, Nadia.
Yeah, I will make a note of it. So do you want to share a little bit about what we're doing and when it's starting and all that good stuff?
Yes. So doors are already open, and we are starting on October 17th. It's a Monday for 4 Mondays. We'll be meeting for about 90 minutes starting at 2 p.m. Pacific. And we've arranged it so that we'll have the first half will be talking about the astrology and the themes and the cycles from an astrological perspective. And then the second half will be healing some of our core primal wounds with Nadia's special magical secret sauce of hypno healing, in a powerful group healing session. And so, gosh, this is going to be so good. I'm
I
super
know.
excited about
I
our
can't wait.
co-creation.
And then there's also, going to be time after those for, just processing what came up for you and, any questions. And we're also having a pop-up Facebook group for you. And it's just going to be really powerful and healing and gentle also. I want to let people know that, because when you hear core wounds, that could be scary for a lot of people. And being a double Scorpio, it's not scary for me, but but it is gentle and it is guided by your higher self and your wise self. So to get to where you need to go for the greatest healing in the most gentle way. So it's going to be a really loving, supportive community.
Oh, I love it. We are about a third filled up already. I have to update you on our attendance, but I'm super excited that this is already um, people are desiring this. People are really looking for more meaning and awakening in their midlife. And I think October, as like the October astrology, is really supportive because we are all kind of at our brink, and we're going to be still doing some stress testing in the October climate. So this will be so nice to have some supportive healing to go along with it.
Yeah, and
So
on this spiritual level, October, it moves into towards like Halloween, which is the closest veil. The veil is the thinnest between the earthly world and the spiritual world. And it's just such a beautiful time, the fall in general, to do deep inner work. It's about going within. And so it's the perfect time to join us.
Yay. Well, Nadia, do you have any more questions about Uranus and or anything like that? Did we cover everything?
Is there anything that we should be aware of with Uranus that we haven't covered? Like in a
Ooh,
nutshell.
in a nutshell, nothing is coming to mind right now that we haven't kind of covered. I love working with Uranus because when we can go with the shock and awe that sometimes that Uranus brings, we can remind ourselves that it's not scary, that it's taking us on these quantum leaps that might not be logical, but get us to where we need to go on a fast track.
And when you're in this world, nothing is logical or linear. You
Oh
know,
gosh, no.
on that spiritual soul level, it was all designed for your growth and your feeling and your evolution. And so when you start to look at life as how have these experiences molded me, and how have these experiences, what do I need to shed and heal so that I could really truly step into my power, then you start to look at your life a little bit differently and you go, oh, okay, this is why this happened for me. This is
Yes.
the experience. What do I need to gain from this? So that you could, one in a regular earthly life, just, try to have some behavior changes, right? But on a spiritual side, like, how is this? How did I set this up as a soul so that I could grow and evolve? And when you start to shift and look at life in that way, um, you kind of get through the really hard and shitty parts a lot. I don't want to say easily, but the suffering isn't as horrible as it is. It's like, okay, I'm going through this, and I know that I'm going through this for my own evolution.
Yeah, there's more meaning and there's more conscientiousness in kind of looking at those painful, prickly parts, but also like celebrating all of the wonderful parts that do happen in conjunction. Like
Yeah,
there's wonderful things as well as painful things that always are intertwined, and they're not meant to be separated, but they're meant to be both appreciated.
absolutely, absolutely, and the gifts that come from there. You know,
For sure.
yeah,
So yesterday, if you check out our lives on both of our Instagrams, you'll see that we talked about Chiron, and how that works in midlife. And then we'll be coming back in the next coming weeks to talk about the hypno healing processes that we'll be going through. And I'll be asking the questions to Nadia. But if you are interested, head on over, and the links are in our bios for how to sign up for Chiron and Midlife Awakening. So I hope that everybody will join us because we are super stoked to bring this collaborative experience together.
super, super stoked.
All
Thanks so
right,
much,
my friend.
everybody.
Yes, thank you. And we will talk to you soon. Talk to you next week.
Yeah, see you next week. Mwah.
Bye.
Bye.